Hey, what's happening, guys? What's going on? YouTube. The purpose of today's video, and this one's going to be a pretty short one, but the purpose of today's video is to kind of highlight the hypocrisy of Shopify. So I put up a video earlier today that, by my standards, got quite a bit of engagement and comments. Normally, my videos don't get too much engagement or comments. About half thumbs up, half thumbs down, a lot of comments, a lot of discussion going on. The video was essentially about how Shopify pulled down Donald Trump's Shopify stores, and this is kind of a big change. In the past, Shopify payments may kick you off of Shopify payments, but Shopify pretty much let anybody in any stores stay up. There was actually some controversy a number of years back when Breitbart had a store up, and with the cancel culture and everything going on today, everybody was calling on Shopify for them to take down Breitbart's store. And Shopify's CEO actually stood up and said, look, I think commerce is a form of expression. It's not really our part to make moral judgments on who's selling or what people are selling. And as long as what people are doing is legal, their stores are going to remain up. Well, Shopify has kind of deviated from that, and they wound up pulling down Donald Trump's store. Now, before we get into this, let me just say, I don't really have a dog in this fight. I hate the two-party system. I don't care for Republicans or Democrats. I would consider myself a libertarian. I don't like government. I think government should stay out of our lives as much as possible. If I had to lean one way, I mean, I am fiscally conservative. There are issues I probably fall on the conservative side for, but I mean, I'm also for like legalizing drugs. Think weed should be legal, gay marriage should be legal, all that type of stuff. So I would consider myself somewhat of a Joe Rogan that, I don't follow along party lines. I don't get tribal. I'd like to think that I have my own views. So by no means am I sticking up for Trump here. And really, this isn't about Trump. It's not about left versus right. It's not Republican versus Democrat. It's about calling out bullshit. And, I think I have a pretty good track record of that. That's why you don't see me selling drop shipping courses about how to make $50,000 a week, because I really just don't go for bullshit. I could have been a millionaire had I started doing that way back in 2014 or 2015 when I started this channel. I try to be intellectually honest. I try to be consistent. I think we all have biases. We all tend to be somewhat hypocritical. But let's judge everybody by the same merits. Let's hold everybody to the same standards. And so in this video, what I wanted to show you is Shopify, and we'll take a look at this. Shopify has said that Shopify does not tolerate actions that incite violence. Based on recent events, we have determined that the actions by President Donald J. Trump violate our acceptable use policy, which prohibits promotion or support of organizations, platforms, or people that threaten or condone violence to further a cause. Now, some people might say Black Lives Matter engaged in a lot of violence over the summer. We got a Black Lives Matter Shopify store here, a Shopify store here, a Shopify store here. And I get it, right? A lot of people are going to say, well, Black Lives Matter was a lot more of a just movement, or Donald Trump himself called for people to march on the House. But Black Lives Matter, even though their events and protests dissolved into fire and riots, it wasn't necessarily the organization doing it. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but I know that some people are going to make that argument. Well, how about Latin Kings? We got Shopify selling Latin Kings flags. How about this one? Shopify selling Blood Gang men's cut T-shirts. We got let's not discriminate. We can't just have the Bloods. We got to have the Crips too. Crip Cola, and I think that's I could probably find a bunch more. And honestly, at the end of the day, I'm doing this to kind of make a point. I realize with Amazon, eBay, all these platforms, when they have thousands, if not tens, if not even hundreds of thousands of sellers, I realize some things are going to slip through the cracks. These stores I'm showing you right now are kind of small, crappy stores. So, if this store rose to huge prominence and huge popularity, maybe Shopify would take it down. I don't know if they would or not. But when we talk about, they're essentially saying Trump called on people to commit violence. Now, I think I'm not going to stand up for Trump. Yesterday was a bad look. There's really nothing to condone. There's nothing to say that it was okay. Did Trump outright call for violence? Trump had promised that yesterday was going to be a wild day and a wild protest. We might be able to read something into that. When Trump called on people to march to the House, he didn't call on people to commit violence. If we really dig into it, like, could we assume that something bad might happen with Trump riling people up? Okay, I'll give you guys that. But if we look here back to the BLM things, I forget this woman's name, but there needs to be unrest in the streets. Kamala Harris, the future vice president, says protesters should not let up. Nancy Pelosi says, I don't know why there aren't uprisings all over the country. Maybe there will be. If you see anybody from that, this is kind of cut off. If you see anybody from that, I'm guessing like group or something or organization in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, get out there and get in their faces. Form a crowd and push them back and tell them that they are not welcome here anymore. So I'm guessing the Democratic Party or certain Democratic candidates have Shopify stores. Are we now going to consider the Democratic Party a hate group because of these statements, which seem to promote hate and violence? Or how about we got Kathy Griffin here holding up a decapitated Trump head? Here we have Trump protesters storming the U.S. Capitol. Again, I'm not going to stick up for them. It is kind of funny how they're walking in an organized single-file line, respecting the velvet ropes. And here, as cars are demolished, fires are burning in the background, people have been raped, people have been put in the hospital, there have been deaths. It was a fiery but mostly peaceful protest after a police shooting. I don't know if you guys are kind of seeing the point here. Not excusing anything Trump did yesterday, but if Shopify wants to take down Donald Trump's store, I think they should maybe also take down any stores that promote the Democratic Party or any of these Democratic candidates that have called for violence and uprising. And they should probably, the Black Lives Matter one we'll say is debatable. I do think that they were kind of a violent organization over the summer. I mean, even statements from Black Lives Matter was that, like, look, we've been asking for decades for respect and not to be killed and not to be murdered and to be treated fairly, and we're sick of it. It's time for violence. So, some people might say that Black Lives Matter, some people might try to make the argument that Black Lives Matter is a more just cause than Trump crying about a stolen election. But at the end of the day, who's the person who gets to make that moral judgment about what's a just cause and what isn't? But even if we want to get past the Black Lives Matter stores that all still have Shopify stores up, I don't think there's any arguing that the Latin Kings, the Bloods, or the Crips are not organizations that use violence to promote a cause. So I'm not trying to support Trump here. I'm not trying to say, I'm not even necessarily trying to say Trump's store shouldn't be taken down. But if you're going to take Trump's store down, let's hold everybody to the same standard. And then kind of another point that I made, as somebody who runs Shopify stores and as somebody who owns Shopify stock, I find it troubling that a platform like Shopify is going to start making moral judgments about who can run stores and who can't run stores. If you sell anything controversial, if you sell anything political, really anything controversial whatsoever, I would be hesitant to set up a store on Shopify, because what if tomorrow Shopify decides that they have a moral issue with what you're doing, or they don't like what you're doing, and they decide to pull your store down? That could absolutely tank your business. And also for investors in Shopify, people who own Shopify stock, do you want to invest in a company that is going to pull the rug out from under their customers? Because Shopify store owners are Shopify's customers. Do you want to invest in a company that's going to be willy-nilly pulling down people's stores? Like I said, I wouldn't want to run future stores on Shopify because of this. And because of that, I also wouldn't want to be an investor in Shopify. I'd actually reached out and emailed the CEO of BigCommerce today. I don't necessarily expect to hear back or think I'll hear back. But what, I told him, I said, I think this would be a wonderful marketing opportunity to let people know, because, really ultimately at the end of the day, in many ways, BigCommerce is a superior platform. BigCommerce comes with a lot more out of the box. There's much less need to use apps, and they don't have transaction fees. I will say I don't think their themes are as nice looking, and Shopify did a better job of growing their platform, which led to more app developers and kind of more tutorials and resources. But this could be a great marketing opportunity for big commerce. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, click the subscribe button below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next video.